So starting out for US EVA 31, Terry will come out first. He'll be the lead spacewalker, wearing the suit with the red stripes. Butch will pass out the large ORU bag with the 4 cable reels in it. He'll also pass out the larger of the 2 booms, the P3 boom, and Butch will come out with the shorter of the 2 booms that will be going on the starboard side. Here you see both booms. The boom on the bottom is the port boom that Terry will bring out. It has a reflector bag and an antenna bag attached to it. The boom at the top of the page is the starboard boom that Butch will bring out, and it has an antenna bag on it. Here you see the antenna bag, the hi-fi hardware. We configure the antennas in this way to protect the delicate surface on the end of the antennas. Here you see an antenna. In the upper right-hand corner, that white surface is the area that we're trying to protect. We also have a protective cover that will be installed on it. You see that cover at the top of the screen here. At this point, both crew members will head to their respective work sites. Butch will head starboard, and here you see Terry headed port. Terry will translate over the rat's nest. We call it that because of all the cabling in the area. So he'll continue out to the P3 or port 3 truss. There he'll install his boom into a worksite interface or WIF. This WIF is typically used for foot restraints for crew members, but this hardware has been adapted to install into this mechanism. Once he gets the boom installed, Terry will remove both bags and stow those on structure. He'll then open up the antenna bag. You see that opening up here, flashing. He'll remove both antennas and install them on the boom. From there, he'll remove the protective cover from the antennas and stow those in the crew lock bag. Here you see the antennas in their final configuration. We have both antennas installed. We also have retro reflectors installed. We're going to wait till the end of the EVA to get these installed because they're delicate and we want to protect the glass on those reflectors. So meanwhile, while Terry is working on the port side, Butch will head out to the starboard side. He'll head out to S3 or the starboard 3 truss. He'll install the shorter of the 2 booms in S3 WIF 13. Once he gets that installed, he'll move his crew lock bag with antennas in it off to a handrail. And then he'll open up that bag and install both antennas into the boom. He'll use a pit pin or pull-in, pull-out pin to secure these to the boom. Once both are installed, he'll remove the protective covering from the antennas. At this point, he'll close up the bag and leave it at the work site because we'll use it to bring back in caps later in the EVA. So at this point, both crew members will be headed back towards the US airlock. Here you see Butch headed back to the large ORU bag. This contains the 4 cable reels that will be deployed during the EVA. He's going to move this bag to the US laboratory to get it in close proximity to the debris shield that the Z2V2 system connects under. So here you see Butch and Terry working together to remove the debris shield. They'll demate a connector under that shield and mate the C2V2 connector, and then reintegrate the J7 connector that they demated into the C2V2 cable. Here you see the J7 connector that the crew will demate. This actually runs to GPS and KU band antennas. Here you see the C2V2 connector. The connector on the left is the one that will attach underneath the shield. The one on the right will reintegrate the GPS and KU band system. The crew will then work together to reinstall the shield. At this point, Butch will head over to the large ORU bag and he'll retrieve 2 cable reels. He'll hand one to Terry and he'll keep one for himself. And they'll get ready to route the port legs. Here you see 4 of the cable bags. These bags are all tied together by one connector that you see at the bottom of the page here that connects underneath the shield. Here you see the 100 feet of cable coiled up inside of one of the bags. As I mentioned, both crew members will be getting set to head out port for their routing. This graphic shows the 2 legs that route port, which they'll take care of first. Once that's complete, they'll route the 2 starboard legs that head out to S3. So Terry will head out first. He'll translate over the rat's nest. He'll be taking the aft translation path on the port side of the truss. And along the way, he'll be securing this cable with copper wire ties. And that will secure the cable to handrails to make sure that it doesn't move and cause any issues. Once he arrives at the boom, he'll remove 2 caps from the antennas. These are to protect the electrical connections. He'll then remove the remaining slack out of his cable bag, and then he'll mate that cable to the inboard antenna. Meanwhile, Butch will be following Terry about 20 feet behind. You can see his cable routing path here. As he translates along the rat's nest, he'll be actually putting both sets of cables into one set of wire ties until he gets to the point that you see here. At this point, Butch will break off and start routing his cable on the forward path along the nadir side of the port truss. This will separate both cables by about 18 inches, and it'll protect the system from being taken out by a single debris strike. So once Butch arrives, he'll hand his cable off to Terry. He'll mate that to the outboard antenna, completing the connections on the port side. So the last thing to do at this work site will be to install 2 retro reflectors onto the boom. Terry will take care of that. Here you see the reflectors that will be used during this EVA. It's used for visiting vehicle range finding. You also see the delicate glass surfaces that we're trying to protect, and that's why we want to install these last thing before we head out from the work site. At this point, they'll start cleaning up this work site. Terry will take the reflector bag and bundle that to his empty cable reel bag. Butch will take the antenna bag and he'll bundle that with his empty cable reel bag. Both crew members will head back to the US laboratory. They'll stow their empty reel bags and the empty crew lock bag in the large ORU bag. And they'll both pick up a cable reel. And this time they'll head out starboard. Butch will lead this time, and here we see Butch's translation path. He'll take the aft path out to S3, and Terry will be taking the forward path. Once Butch arrives at S3, he'll get ready to remove the 2 protective caps from the antenna. He'll stow those in the crew lock bag. Then he'll remove the remaining slack out of his bag and attach that to the inboard antenna. At this time, Terry should be arriving at the work site. He'll drop off the reflector bag and leave that for Butch. He'll then pick up the crew lock bag that now has caps and protective covers in it, and he'll bundle that with his empty cable reel bag. Terry will then pull out the remaining slack of his cable, hand that off to Butch, and Butch will mate the final connection to the C2V2 system, the outboard connector on the starboard boom. At this point, Terry will head back towards the airlock. He'll take his empty reel bag and crew lock bag. He'll stow those into the large ORU bag and get this ready to bring back inside. Meanwhile, Butch will finish up out on the starboard truss. He'll install the final retro reflector onto the starboard boom. Once this is complete, he'll take the empty reflector bag and he'll stow that on his cable reel bag and head back to the airlock. Butch will ingress first with those 2 bags. Then Terry will pass in his large ORU bag. And then Terry will ingress, and he will close and lock the hatch, completing US EVA 31.